and pregnancy is already scary enough. Hi girls, my name is Michaela and welcome back to my channel. I'm a 20-something-year-old girl and we're going to navigate life together. Besties, that's what we do. I kind of wanted to get on here and talk about my birth story, pregnancy, that whole thing, because no shade to anyone else, you can't take away their story, but I feel like as a first-time mom, when you're scrolling on social media, you see a lot of negative stories, and honestly, that is scary. It scares the crap out of you, and pregnancy is already scary enough. I was blessed to have a very wonderful experience pregnant, a very wonderful delivery, wonderful support system, so I'd like to just get on here and share that with you guys. First things first, I found out I was pregnant in May. May 6th, 2024 is when I found out I was pregnant at 5 a.m. What was I doing up at 5 a.m.? Probably going to work, or I really don't know. Me and my husband had been trying. I figured, I was 25 at that time, 24, 25. Jesus Christ, I'm already forgetting how old I am. We are in a really good place in life. We, full of love. And I figured this is a really good time for us to introduce somebody else because we already wanted kids. Honestly, I'm kind of the person, no time is the right time because you're never going to be fully ready, aside from financial stability, emotional stability, good relationship, all that, yada, yada, yada. However, I still think children are a blessing, even if you have a baby without all of those circumstances lined up. And I told my husband, like, immediately. And then we did keep things quiet for a little bit because I ended up having an ectopic pregnancy that past November. So that was something that I went through. It was a really interesting time. I could do a story time on that if you guys want to know, but it was just a weird time. So we didn't really tell anybody until we were for sure. I believe May 23rd was my very first appointment. I was so excited. I've always wanted one kid, but then I got with my husband and I was like, we could have three kids. That has changed now. I think I just want two max. It was a really sweet time. I genuinely loved the doctors that I had through my OB parts. I was under the impression that there was way more appointments than there are in the beginning because I was kind of freaking out. I was like, oh, we're not going to look at her. We're not going to get all these ultrasounds. We're not going to do this, that. No, that is not how they roll. I believe you have to be 7 or 8 weeks before you even get your first ultrasound, which is a little crazy to me. But because I had the ectopic pregnancy in the past, I did a lot of blood work in the beginning. Every 48 hours, I believe, I had to make sure that my HCG levels were rising appropriately, meaning a baby is where baby's supposed to be and my body is doing what it's supposed to. I feel like the appointments and stuff progressed pretty normally. I honestly did not have a whole lot of issues or pain or anything. By the time I got around to my glucose testing, which a lot of girlies, I feel like that's another trending topic on social media. It had me a little nervous, but then I was like, what are we doing? I'm not going to get into the whole denying whether you want to do glucose testing or not, or whether it's beneficial. I personally think it is, but I'm also a nurse. So I see the benefit in a lot of medical procedures and things and why we do them. I did the glucose testing at home. It really wasn't that bad. I did the fasting, all of that. I went to the office, and unfortunately, I did not pass in the clinic. So I had to come back and do my 3-hour testing. Now that was rough. I was starving, and by the time I chugged the entire drink, I felt sick to my stomach. Now I will say I felt terrible. Went and sat in the car, hung out, did blood testing every hour, which is not my favorite. I'm not a big fan of sticks, despite sticking people for a living. 0 out of 10. But thankfully that was normal. So I did not end up with gestational diabetes, which I was really nervous because my cravings were pretty much carbs, and more carbs, i.e. pizza. I worked up until I was about 38 weeks. I did not get taken off of work from my doctor. I took myself off personally because at some point it was becoming painful to get up and walk around, and I can't really do that as a nurse. I have to be able to get up and move if something's happening. And I could not do that. So it was time for me to go home. However, I will say, shout out to my coworkers and all the people at the hospital that I work at. Everyone was super supportive and so sweet. I honestly can't imagine a pregnancy work environment without them. They made everything super comfortable for me, even though I was trying to still do things. And they were like, girl, go sit down somewhere. But it's all out of love. So I definitely, absolutely appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. Mwah. Although I hope nobody's watching because that would be a little weird. Just a little. I did do cervical checks every week, and I understand some people are not okay with that. Even though it was uncomfortable, I still wanted to know what was going on down there. And little educational moment, I know. There is like a layer of membranes and stuff. So even if they're doing cervical checks, my doctor reassured to me that there's not an introduction of bacteria. I was also GBS positive, which is not like, I was super scared. I thought it would be this crazy thing. It's not. It's literally just meaning that I'm going to have to get antibiotics during labor, make sure that baby doesn't get any of that infection. However, I say infection, but it's not like, it's normal for adult women, not good for babies. Their immune system is garbage. So with my weekly appointments, I was not progressing at all. I was maybe like 1.5 centimeters dilated. 1.5 was like the most that I had gotten to. And at this point, I was having a lot of pelvic pain. It was hurting to roll over in bed. It was hurting to walk around. I was just miserable. So at this point, I was like, you know what? I'm cool with an induction. That's fine. However, I did not think about the fact that all these other mommies are pregnant and everybody else wants an induction. That means my induction date was past my due date. I know. However, lots of first-time moms do go past their due date sometimes. But I was expecting not to. I honestly thought I was going to have her in like Christmas, although that's like drastically way before her due date. So my induction was scheduled for the 23rd. So, we kept on trucking, definitely past our due dates. The morning of the 23rd, I was not supposed to go in until about 8 or 9 o'clock that afternoon. I woke up at 10 a.m. and I hate to be that person that says, oh my gosh, when you know, you know. But I woke up and I was like, I know, like this is what's happening. I am having a baby today. I decided that we needed to re-deep clean it. So me and my husband got up, we cleaned every single room, we mopped, did the whole shebang, and I'm literally like walking around the house holding my stomach and I'm like, oh my God. But in my head, I was thinking I'm good up until the point where I can't like keep moving. So I called the L&D department and I was like, oh, hey guys, do you think I should come in? And they were like, yeah, girl, come in. You need to come in. I said, no, I'm going to take a nap. FYI, don't do that. So I went to go take a nap instead, or I tried to take a nap because I could not. That wasn't working. So I got up and I was like, well, maybe I should eat a snack or something before I go in and then make me not eat. That wasn't working. I did not want any food. I was absolutely nauseated. This kind of went on up until 4 o'clock that afternoon. And then I finally rolled over to my husband and I was like, we should probably go to L&D. I had already had my bags packed. All of our essentials and stuff. I already had everything in the car. We moved the car seat to the car and then we made it to the hospital. I, however, did not want to be rolled inside of the hospital. So we parked, and unfortunately the parking lot's not like a mile away, but it is a good walk away. I had to walk up a hill, and then I felt even more awkward. I felt more awkward than I would have if I just got rolled in because I'm like stopping in the hallway and I'm like, oh my God, guys. Oh, hold on. Trying not to make a scene, but then it's like I'm in a hospital where people are delivering babies. So they're like, oh my gosh, ma'am, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. I promise, pinky promise. Let me just make it to triage. I get to triage, get checked in, get hooked up to all the monitoring, and pretty much just hanging out. They did not check me at that point in time. I also didn't want to be checked. I was having a lot of pain, but I was also scheduled to come in that night anyway. So regardless of what progression I was at, I was going to stay. So they just went ahead and moved me to my L&D room. This is my little tidbit of shout out to my nurses. I loved them. They were 100% amazing. I could not have asked for a better team. The nurse that I had overnight, chef's kiss. I wrote her Daisy. I loved her. Okay. Loved her down. She made my experience 100% so much better than it could have been. I was progressively in pain at this point in time. Things were hurting. I asked her my different pain options because I was not ready to get my epidural. And I know there's a whole lot on that. I'm really not going to get into that one, pinky promise. But I will be an epidural mama for as long as I can foresee having kids. I will be getting the epidural. She offered morphine or Dilaudid. I did not want either one of those. I don't really like the IV pain options because it does affect baby. And she decided on Atarax, IM. And typically Atarax is used for like anxiety and stuff, but that's the capacity that I use it in my work area. So I didn't know that it could be used as a pain option too. When she gave it to me, OMG, it stung way more than I thought it would because she warned me that it would sting, but I thought it was like, oh, it'll sting a little bit. No, homegirl was not lying. It stung a lot. So she gave me my shot. I tried to take a nap and relax a little bit. Also did not work at all. So this is about maybe 10-ish, 11. I'm trying to like thug it out and make it. And I remember distinctly at like midnight or super close to midnight because I got my epidural at midnight. Me and my husband were laying in the bed and we heard this woman screaming, and I was like, oh my God, that sounds like she's being murdered. I don't want that. So I hit my call light immediately and I was like, let's get this show on the road. My anesthesiologist was also top tier, absolutely. Loved him. He did an amazing job. It only took him about 3 tries. 2 of those were my fault because I was under the impression that they would stop while you're having contractions. No. They just keep on going, keep on trying to get there. I was kind of like, oh, I'm sorry. But then in my head, I was like, let me stop before it like hits a nerve or something. I got my epidural at 5 centimeters though. So afterwards, I went to sleep. And I will say the only hiccup, they came in my room at some point in time and woke me up and they were like, oh my God, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, guys, I'm fine. Meanwhile, I was laying and like kind of on the brink of awake, kind of on the brink of sleeping, and I was playing my gospel music, and I just felt really good at this point. Did not know my blood pressure was in the toilet. Kaput. So they gave me some fluids. I can say the anesthesiologist gave me some kind of medicine. I really don't know what it was. And it came back up. So that was the only little hiccup I guess I had. But that's also a very normal side effect to epidurals. I had already kind of had that in mind. I'll say I kept progressing, and probably about 4:45 that my nurse came in and checked me, and I was like there. Like she could break my water and I would be giving birth in the next like, what did she say, 5 or 10 minutes. So I called my parents because they live super close to me and had my mom come. That way she could be with me while I'm pushing. And my mom got there probably, I don't know. I pushed for maybe 10, or I gave like 10 or so pushes. And at the point where I was with my epidural, it was a really weird space because they kept telling me to push. And I was literally like, guys, I think I'm pushing. I don't know, which is also another kind of like side effect of epidurals, which I know some people don't love for that reason. But thankfully, we got her out. I don't know how. I still don't know how. I was pushing. They said I was doing good. Hey, she's out. During that time, I kind of dissociated pretty hard. Like, this is my little dissociation picture. It was a really crazy experience. Like, I was there, but I wasn't there. And when they plopped her on me, I was still like, oh my gosh, this is my baby. This is what I've been growing for 9 months. It's insane. But then it like really didn't connect for a while. I still loved her. I still had that like, oh my gosh, I love my baby. But I was like, okay, cool. I guess we're done. I did not feel any stitches. I did have 2 small tears, but I did not feel any of that. And yeah, we just kind of hung out. We did our golden hour, and then we moved to postpartum area. And that was just a lot of bonding with me, baby, and my husband. And that was an interesting experience too. But I can make a separate video on like my postpartum experience in this. That was my overall like pregnancy, birth. I know it was really like uncomplicated, but I feel like sometimes people need to hear that it can be okay. Not to take away from other people's experience if anything is happening during their labor or their birth, or if they're having a lot of issues. But sometimes it's just nice to hear it was fine. It was simple. So as usual, guys, thank you so much for watching. I can make more videos in the future, but it was fun talking about this. Let me know if you guys have any questions or anything like that, or if you want me to actually delve into my postpartum and how that's going for me so far. But bye, girlas.